Hello and welcome to At the Leadership Table with retired Major General Jim Hoyer. Oftentimes people hear the word leader and they think only of political leaders, but leaders come in many forms, and that's worth exploring. I'm Jim Hoyer, born and raised in West Virginia, a husband, a father, a new grandfather, and a retired military leader, serving for over 40 years in public leadership for our state and nation. Now, the most important mission I have going forward is to educate, motivate, and empower our next generation of leaders. At the leadership table with me today is Scott Schenerlein. Scott is the executive director of Wheeling Heritage. He is born and raised and educated in Wheeling and has leveraged those roots and experiences to help revitalize one of West Virginia and America's most historic towns, Wheeling, West Virginia. And Scott, I want to thank you for joining us at the leadership table today.
General, thanks for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here.
So, Scott, I'm going to start out by asking you the same first question we ask all of our guests. Please share with us a standout moment when you learned something really important about leadership.
That one's a tough question because I've been working since I was very young. I started out at Ogilvy Park Resort in Wheeling, and now here at Wheeling Heritage. But I would say one of the things I learned was back in 2019, I was accepted into a program that I'm sure you're aware of, Leadership West Virginia. And what a great program that is. And what I learned about it was all about connection. There were so many things about leadership, but the connection with the different people. And then right after that, as you know, in 2020, we went into the pandemic. So that connection became very much different and more important than ever. We would continue, our class would continue to talk to each other. And so making those connections then that I can use going forward became a very vital and important part of how I operated in the work I had to do.
And I totally agree with you about Leadership West Virginia, and your example is really a terrific example of the importance of building that network as part of your leadership efforts. So, Scott, if you can, share with our listeners how Wheeling Heritage came to be and how you leverage revitalization work that you do to make Wheeling a better place.
Well, Wheeling Heritage is one of 62 national heritage areas in the United States. So there's only 62 of them. So we feel very proud that there's one here in Wheeling. We actually have 4 in our state, and they're in different areas. And we really find them as opportunities to lift people up and move things forward. But Wheeling Heritage was kind of founded because of what we call the 3 R's: the road, the river, and the rail. All of those things came through this area, the national road, and it was the gateway to the west. And it was really a big part right on the river. So the railway was there, the B&O Railroad. And so those things were very important to what was going on at the time. And so later in 1994, we were incorporated and congressionally designated as a heritage area to tell those stories and really work for the betterment of the community. So, how does it help with the work that I do here? It's just, I think our job as a heritage area is to bring people together. And I think that's one of the things I found the most. You've got to maybe sometimes, we're talking about leadership here today, kind of lead a little bit. And I try to make it sort of a servant leadership too, because I don't really like all the hoopla and all that kind of stuff that goes along with it sometimes. But yeah, trying to bring people along and tell the stories of what happened here and how important it is to build that base going forward.
So basically, through historic preservation, community development, and the arts, Wheeling Heritage is working to improve the quality of life in Wheeling, West Virginia.
Hmm.
So, what does that look like day to day, and what drives your work day
Sure.
to day?
We operate in a few pillars, and you mentioned some of them. Small business development. We really think that to grow a community, to revitalize a community, we need to really support our small business community. We've seen big box retailers and things like that come and go, and they're going to be a part of us. But if you look back to how it all started, it was all small business, and we believe that that's going to come back and really help these towns revitalized. People are looking for experiences and things that are different. So small business and propping them up is one of the pillars we use. Arts and culture is something that's very important to us. We believe that a thriving city has a great arts and culture scene. If you look around at other cities, you'll find that, and it's no different here in Wheeling. We have a lot of talented folks here that are really trying to show us different ways to do things and bring us together through arts and culture. We have our own symphony here in Wheeling. Very few cities of this size have their own Wheeling Symphony Orchestra, so we're very proud of them. So arts and culture is a very big part of our community here. Grants and investments, we're lucky that we have been able to have some grants that we've been able to sub-grant out to different projects in Wheeling. We give partnership grants out to different activities. And so those areas really, really help us to help lift up the community in that way.
So, you chose to stay and invest your leadership skills and capabilities in your hometown where you grew up, when a lot of people in Appalachia are feeling this pressure to move out of small town Appalachia in order to be able to succeed. What tell us a little bit more about what leadership looks like in that respect, and it's a great example too of what we talked about earlier about what Leadership West Virginia is trying to do.
Hmm. Retaining and keeping your people here is very, very important. But I had many chances to leave. I could have gone to Columbus, California, anywhere I wanted, and all those places are nice. I've been lucky enough to travel a lot of different places, but it's always good to come home. And I feel like if you can't work where you grew up and you can't give back, I think that's what's the most important thing for me. If you go away, you're giving to another community, and I need to give back to the community that gave so much to me, I believe. And so I think that kind of falls into leadership a little bit too. Giving back. It's not all about oneself. Sometimes you have to give up something to gain something. And, so I'm very happy to be here. And, I'm just hopeful that some of the things that I'm able to offer, some of my strengths, or my weaknesses, and we learn from those, can give back to this community and bring it about again with a new flavor.
So a lot of people look at historic preservation as history just looking back at the past, but what you all are doing is really unique in the fact that you're taking historic preservation and turning it into an economic development, a community revitalization tool, and building synergy and energy within the community. Tell us a little bit about how that works and maybe a couple of examples of something that you guys have done that is really becoming a focal point of the community.
I think when people hear historic preservation, sometimes they think of the physical act of restoring an old building or a house or something like that. But we're really taking something that has a lot of history and building upon it. And we went through a time here in Wheeling where we had a lot of buildings that were not in good condition, and we'd go through and we'd take those buildings out. So Wheeling Heritage is also a West Virginia Main Street community. And so you go back down Main Street sometimes and you see holes, and that's not what you want to see in your Main Street is a bunch of empty lots or parking lots. And so we learned as we went along that maybe it'd be better to kind of appreciate what we have and see what we can do to bring that back into use in a new way. And sometimes you can save an old building, and sometimes you can't. It's just all different. But one of the great things we're doing right now, and we're working in partnership with our local, I don't want to say partners again, but our CVB, our Regional Economic Development Partnership, the City of Wheeling, Ohio County, the Chamber of Commerce, so many people. We're all working together, and we're putting a new gateway center at the beginning of our city because we think that right next to our historic suspension bridge, a place where people can come and be welcomed in, an urban center. It's going to talk about our history, and it's just going to be a welcoming site when you come in our city. And we think one of those things, it's going to be a big catalyst to help other projects move forward. And so I think that's something we're doing now. And Wheeling Heritage played a huge part in that in the beginning by offering some funding to that, because nobody always wants to be the first money in. And sometimes we believe that you have to be in order to gain confidence in a project and trust. And we said all along, if we're going to do this project, we got to have the trust of the people. So many times people say they're going to do something and they don't follow through. And that doesn't build trust in your community. And so I'm hoping that Wheeling Heritage is at the table so that we can gain that trust and we can build that momentum through partnerships.
And I think a lot of people, even in our own state, really don't understand the significant role Wheeling played, not only in the growth and development of our nation, but obviously the start of our own state, the state of West Virginia. What are a couple of things about Wheeling that you'd want somebody from outside to know that might motivate somebody to come visit Wheeling, West Virginia, or maybe even live in Wheeling, West Virginia?
I think they call us the friendly city, and I think we have a sense of genuine hospitality here that sometimes you don't find in other places. I think the history is huge here. Come and visit and learn about the history. Visit Independence Hall, the Custom House, where, as you said, we first gained statehood, and cross the suspension bridge, a span that was built years ago and was the gateway to the West, and just experience the different things we have here. We have a beautiful Ogilvy Park Resort, is the only self-sustaining municipal park system in the United States. It is beautiful. It's hard to believe that it's a municipal park system. It's got its own zoo, which is growing. And so, that alone, come and walk and enjoy the flowers and the different opportunities that it has. The northern part of the state sometimes, I think, has a tough time. We're right there between West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. And you go down and it's wild and wonderful down in the lower part of the state too. But we've got a beautiful part here in the northern panhandle, and we just want to share it with others.
And I guess the other thing for some of our listeners who aren't that familiar with the northern panhandle, Wheeling is really a regional hub, a regional city, in that people transit in and out of Wheeling, West Virginia from Ohio and Pennsylvania every day, and commerce flows across. How does that impact the work that you do?
Well, its location is key. They always say location, 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 right? So the fact that you can be in Ohio or Pennsylvania within 10 or 12 minutes, it brings a lot of people through here. And I think getting people to stop and visit and see what we have to offer is very important. I think it opens up a lot of doors for us as well. It's not hard to get to. A lot of places in the state may be harder to get to, where Wheeling you can get to very easily on Interstate 70. So about 59,000 people cross that every day, and that's what we're trying to capture when we're building an urban visitor center, is to bring people down in and let them experience, get a little taste of what we have, and then send them out in the city to be able to experience everything else. But we just love to share it with other people. And so we welcome everybody. It's a very welcoming city.
Well, Scott, I want to personally thank you for the great work that you and all of the Wheeling Heritage team and partners are doing to leverage historic preservation and history to be a tool and a capability to grow and revitalize an important part of our state and an important part of our history. And I thank you for joining us at the leadership table today.
General, thanks for being here. And on behalf of our board and staff, thanks for having us. We really appreciate it. Thanks also for your service. We appreciate that too.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. This has been At the Leadership Table with retired Major General Jim Hoyer. Did you know you can now find me on social media at RMG Hoyer? That's HOYER, or email me at rmgjameshoyer@gmail.com.